I know you just want to play music, but if you follow me, you know by now that you gotta know the business too. This book is about that. A few weeks ago, my buddy Henry told me about this book that was worth a read. It's 50 cents, hustle harder, hustle smarter, and it's got some great stuff in it. On that note, I'd love to hear if you guys have any recommendations for great books to read, so please let me know in the comments. I didn't know what to think of this book at first since I didn't really realize how much of a businessman Curtis Jackson, aka 50 Cent, really was. I was pleasantly surprised to learn some cool stuff, disagree with some ideas, and also find some really great business insights. This is a quick review about some of my favorite life and business lessons from the book that all apply to you. Look, everyone's scared of something, right? If you aren't scared of anything, you're probably a little crazy. So really, there isn't a sane person out there who's legit fearless. The idea behind conquering your fears is that you meet your fears head on. For instance, this may surprise some of you, but I'm scared shitless of public speaking. It's crazy. Put me on a stage in front of 85,000 people with any artist and I'll kill it. But put me in front of 10 people and ask me to speak about some subject and I freeze. It's a fear. It's something I'm constantly working on and trying to learn about by reading books and joining clubs for public speaking before Rona hit. And you know what? The craziest thing about public speaking is that the only thing that makes it easier is doing it over and over again. So I fight that fear every time I'm on podcasts and live Q&As with you guys on Instagram, and I'll continue fighting that fear and others until I conquer them. That's the only way to become fearless. As 50 points out in his book, the greatest mistake people can make is to become comfortable with their fear. Don't make that mistake. So with a title like Know Your Value, it sounds like you should know when to say, no, I deserve more and that's why I'm not going to take that gig or that session. But this part of the book is really surprising because he makes you understand through real life experiences that he shares how only looking out for the paycheck could be your biggest weakness. Basically, he's preaching, and I have to agree, that you shouldn't be short-sighted. Don't just look at that first paycheck or that big payday. Look at the big picture, long-term. Maybe this session won't be paying you what you usually charge, but you'll also be working for the first time with some sick musicians and producers you've never worked with. You never know where this could lead you. The sky's the limit. So don't knock it just because the budget is lower and they aren't giving you exactly what you're used to. Now in 50's case, he's talking about going from being a world-class rapper to being a TV exec. Since he's new to TV, he's willing to take a pay cut, so to speak. Because the long-term goal here is to become a huge TV producer and make hundreds of millions of dollars. So he wasn't worried about how much money he made from that first show. He was looking way down the road. As a musician, depending on who you work with, you may be treated like a rock star, doing your job and getting paid what you deserve, or you may be treated like a little kid who's having fun. And when you ask to get paid, they look at you with that, how dare you ask for money for playing your instrument, that's just a hobby kind of vibe. Point is, assess every situation on its own. Every scenario has its own drawbacks and benefits. Evaluate each new venture based on its long-term potential. Oh, and by the way, when you do decide on following through with an opportunity, as I've said, and 50 agrees, get it on paper. As in, get it in writing. Even an email is better than nothing. Make sure you have some kind of paper trail for when shit gets dicey or when people just don't remember what they originally agreed to. If you have it in writing, there's no debate and no argument. Save yourself the headache and get it on paper. Now, I feel like in hip-hop, people have their crew, as he calls it. But if I can flip it for a second to where it works for everyone, I'd call that crew the core group of people that you surround yourself with. Jim Rohn once said, "We are the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with." So the idea is you want to make sure you're surrounding yourself with the right people for your vision, where you want to go in life. If you want to be a Tier 1 esports athlete, hang out with friends that love gaming as much as you. If you want to be a great musician, hang out with great musicians who inspire you and push you. If you want to smoke weed all day and do nothing, you probably want to surround yourself with people who feel the same way. 50's thing is he's always trying to build a crew and surround himself with people who'll push him and help him get to the next level. That's what's up. That's what you want. And when you find that crew, make sure you let them be themselves and treat them well. Appreciate them. Provide encouragement. Treat them just like you'd want to be treated. Lead by example. Now, when I say let them be themselves, I mean you don't want to be surrounded by yes men and women. You want people who will challenge you, who make you better, who'll say no when it needs to be said, who'll disagree with you when you're straight up acting like a dick to someone. Having a core group of people around you that you can learn from constantly is a blessing, and I hope you find it. 50 says one of the keys to success is that in every stage of life, you need to be able to assess your new situation and adapt, make the necessary adjustments. For him, that meant going from one label to another, or being dropped from a label, or getting shot 9 times. For many of us these days during this pandemic, it means adapting and learning new skills, thinking outside the box about how to get money coming in. For me, as an example, I had to change my original 200 song goal for 2020 and figure out how to make money to pay the bills. Now here's another example. I've seen huge studios with producers who worked with all these famous artists in the 70s, but they never evolved. So all their stuff still sounds like it's from the 70s, even in 2020. You've got to either evolve in your profession or get out of it and find something else you want to do, something that excites you. But staying still and not moving forward, well, that only leads to failure. Actually, another point worth mentioning is use your crew to evolve. You may think you're woke, but you might not be. Put yourself in a position to learn from other people's views. It's not about if you agree with them or not, it's about you actively listening to what they're saying and respecting it, even if you don't necessarily agree with it. And if you pick the right people, they'll treat you the same way. 50 talks about a lot of other stuff in the book. It's really well written with a lot of personal stories. I highly recommend it to anyone who wants some good business and life advice. Again, I'd love to hear which book you think I should read. Like, sub, comment. I'll catch you next time.